Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Dr. Ha-in, Professor of Economics at the Catholic University of Korea. Professor Ha, good afternoon. It's the first time we've been able to have you on the program, so thank you for making the time to come on.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with stocks on Wall Street. Overnight, the main indices pulled back from their new highs. The Nasdaq was flat. Shares of Microsoft and Google's parent company Alphabet reaching new highs, though, while we saw financials like JP Morgan and BOA closing lower. What's the story in the global markets?
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lowered 266.19 points, which is 0.74%, and the S&P 500 also lowered 23.11 points, which is about 0.51%. Though, as you mentioned, Nasdaq closed slightly higher than the yesterday by 0.12%. Interest rate on the U.S. government bond with 10 years maturity lowered from 1.61% to 1.546%. Recently, stock indexes recorded a historical high, so it seems like that investors are taking profit out of it today. And also, cooperative earnings continues to affect the market. The parent company of Google, the Alphabet, and the Microsoft has posted higher than expected profit, so the stock price for them has risen by 5% and 4.2% respectively, which has reached the historical highs. These two companies are listed in the Nasdaq, so they rescued the Nasdaq index from falling. The third quarter of U.S. GDP growth, which will be announced by next month, and the FOMC result in the next week will be the market's concerns.
Right, we'll be looking forward to that news, I guess, by tomorrow. And today, the Korean market was up and down, but closing lower in the end, though not a huge amount of shares changing hands. A few bright spots in there, though, like chipmaker SK hynix, up almost 5%. Tell us about the trade today in the domestic market.
Yeah, Kospi lowered 15.94 points, which is 0.53%, and the Nasdaq, Kosdaq also lowered 8.82 points, which is 0.87%. Samsung Electronics posted record high sales in the third quarter of 2021, so the stock price of Samsung Electronics increases to 7,700 won. Another semiconductor manufacturer, you mentioned the SK hynix stock price is increased by 4%, but the Samsung Biologic and the Hyundai Car stock dropped by over 1%. Domestic institutional investors and foreign investors sells more, while the domestic individual investors buys more. As you mentioned, SK Biosciences stock jumped 7.21% in the news that they asked for the approval of Novavax, which is a vaccine for the COVID-19 in UK. Not only the Hanyul cement, but also all the other cement manufacturers, manufacturing companies stock rose due to the expectation of increased demand for the cement. Investors are expecting that construction industry rebounds.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing to see today. And going back to Samsung Electronics, as you mentioned, reporting its best ever quarterly sales at 74 trillion won for the third quarter. Also a rise in operating profit, 28%. That's 15 trillion won. And LG reporting earnings, also its best sales for a quarter. Tell us about earnings at these two Korean tech giants.
Yeah, you already mentioned that Samsung Electronics posted about 74 trillion won sales and 15 trillion won profit in the third quarter of 2021. which is higher than the higher by 10.48% and 28.04% respectively from the same quarter of 2020. Sales in the semiconductor business alone are 26 trillion won, and the profits in semiconductor business is 10 trillion won, which are the greater numbers than the third quarter of 2018, which is considered to be the semiconductor boom period. The company said that memory chips, OLED display, and the smartphone, including the foldable phone sales, are the main contributors in recording the historical high sales in the third quarter of 2021. Moreover, they anticipating the historical high number of sales in the year of 2021. As a matter of fact, they said that the sales of 2021 would surpass by far the previous high, which was 243.78 trillion won in the year of 2018. As they mentioned, the semiconductor sales and the profits are the main source of their great performance in the third quarter. Besides the semiconductor business, the IM business, the part, which stands for the IT and the mobile, which including the smartphone, recorded 28 trillion won sales and 3 trillion won profit. And C business part, which is consumer electronics, posted 14.1 trillion won sales and 760 billion won profit. And display the business part posted 8.86 trillion won sales and 1.49 trillion won profit. The Korean electronic giant LG has tentatively achieved 18.78 trillion won sale and 540.7 billion won profit in the third quarter of 2021. The anticipated profit reflected the recall cost of batteries in the GM cars, which cost them 480 billion won. The LG's strongest business part is home appliances and air solutions, and we are anticipating sales in the home appliance and the air solution part to be 7 trillion won. And the home entertainment business would record 4 trillion won sales thanks to OLED TV sales increases. People are anticipating that LG will record more than 60 trillion won sales in the year of 2021, which will be higher than the historical high of 58.1 trillion won sales in the previous year. The global shortage of semiconductors and rebound of the demand from the COVID lockdowns would be the main source of the record sales in these two electronic giants.
Well, Professor, we're almost out of time, but before we go, the price of Bitcoin is down about 10% in the last week, now under $60,000. What can you say about the cryptocurrency sector?
Yeah, cryptocurrency drops, as you mentioned, until so far, the anticipation of the debut of the Bitcoin exchange trade fund in the U.S. stock market has gotten attention from the investors. But, after the ETF of Bitcoin ETF introduced, the investors' love to them has shrunk. And some investors are taking profit out of the heated cryptocurrency market. As you already know, there are many skepticism on the intrinsic value of cryptocurrencies, especially in academia, because there are not many commodities or products or services you can buy use those cryptocurrencies, which means the price of the cryptocurrencies cannot be anticipated by comparing the other currencies. So the sentiment of investors are the main drivers of cryptocurrencies prices. So if the investors lost their appetite on the cryptocurrencies, then the price will react as accordingly. So which makes the volatility of the cryptocurrencies larger than any other financial assets. Moreover, it makes the price of cryptocurrencies unrelated to with any other financial assets.
It does seem that way. Professor, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thank you for coming on to share your insights with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.